Hey, welcome to this mini lecture. It's Manipulation Nation. The web is the world's biggest social experiment. We're going to discuss really quickly the VPro documentary, What Makes You Click, with Tristan Harris and Natasha Schüll. The URL is here on the screen. The time code for where they are is also on the screen. That should be below the video and the metadata on YouTube. What makes you click? Maybe think about these things. Which parts of the video clips resonated with you? What did you like or dislike? And maybe think more broadly. Do you wake up and turn over your phone every morning? You probably do. Why do you do this? And what do you think the personal impact of this is? I'm going to talk about a couple of clips. First, Mr. Harris. Every single player, every app, every website, every service is competing ultimately for attention, even if you're building a meditation app. It is the height of absurdity when meditation apps are competing for your attention, when they should be fostering mindfulness. What do you think are the implications of this competition? I would say we seem to be, in some way, beholden to these devices where they have apps, they have features on the devices, they have features on websites where they're all competing to get our limited attention, even for meditation apps. And as a result, our time becomes very scarce, and it becomes something that's being competed for between different apps, websites, etc. Here's another quote. If you look at this like an evolutionary system, Facebook is like an organism, and Twitter is an organism, YouTube is an organism, and each iteration they're mutating new persuasive techniques. They're trying new things to survive. If they don't do this otherwise, what happens to these platforms? Think about that. Ultimately, if they didn't have persuasive techniques to get you to continue to use them, they would eventually, presumably, fail. If you stop going to Facebook, if you stop going to Twitter, if you stop going to YouTube, and that happens en masse, there's no reason for other people to go to these platforms. As a result, for these really highly successful platforms and websites and apps, they, on a moment-by-moment basis almost, and definitely on a daily basis, they come up with new persuasive techniques to continue to have you use your precious time and energy to use these apps and these platforms. And if you look at any of these platforms, especially over a long period of time, their appearance changes, the color schemes can change, the different functionality definitely changes. Harris also says a slot machine is persuasive because it operates on a principle of intermittent variable reward. In short, this means that you pull some lever, and sometimes you get an exciting, enticing reward, and other times you don't. It's like think about this. He's talking about the idea of slot machines. Are our smartphones a kind of a slot machine? Think about that. I would argue that, in fact, they are. Sometimes you pull out your phone, sometimes it buzzes, sometimes it rings, depending on your settings. And in our more fallow, quieter times, we want to go to our phone and see if we have any new little red notifications on our apps. We want to see if we have Facebook likes, if we have sharing of our content on Twitter, retweets, etc. And because you get excited and cool things and great things and desirable things happen, that's good. Sometimes you get things that you don't get replies, likes, shares. You feel bad. Either way, whether it's good or bad, it makes you want to go back to the device, your app, or your website. Next, we're going to talk about quickly Natasha Schüll, how she talks about addiction. Here's some of her quotes. Gamblers will often speak about having a sensation that they're merging with the machines. They can tell where their fingers ends and the screens begin. They can't tell. They become so absorbed in the game that what they're really playing for is continuing that absorption. Have you become absorbed in a device? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you got up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m, you're like, oh, I'm just going to check my Facebook feed, my Instagram feed, and half hour later, 45 minutes later, an hour later, you're still at it, and you wonder why you're absorbed. Why are we so absorbed with our devices and platforms? Is it due to our lack of other things to do in our lives? Is it that these devices are so engaging and addictive? She's talking about gambling here, but again, apply this to social media and smartphones. Quote, the jackpot only serves to recycle the winnings back into the machines that they can keep playing, keep staying in this kind of zone where time and space and a sense of monetary value and even a sense of self falls away. Have you ever felt a sense of self fall away while using social media? Again, I had that last example of, have you ever been up in the middle of the night, you tapped away at your phone, and then all of a sudden you're looking at it for way too long? I'm sure all of us have felt that some kind of that's at some kind of time, maybe on a daily basis. She's talking about the slot machine, but again, think about this with your phones. When you're at the machine, your whole bodily posture is different. You kind of slump down, your eyes look a little glazed over, and you're just repetitively tapping with your finger. We all have these sorts of experiences today with machines, whether it's trying to buy something in an eBay auction or playing Candy Crush. Have you ever felt yourself repetitively tapping while using your smartphone, social media, the internet? Have you ever, again, been at a device for so long that you're like, oh my god, my shoulders are so tense. What have I been doing? We've all been engaged and addicted to our devices at various times. Last big quote, corporate value is increasingly coming to be measured in terms of clicks and likes. It's a kind of nano monetization of human experience. That image of little slot machine players just tapping. I'm sure if you play video games, you've had this happen. I'm sure you've went through your various Facebook feed, Instagram feed, and clicked and liked on various people's content. What is the implication of nano monetizing our human experience? I would argue we have such rich, diverse, and extraordinary lives that there has to be a negative, I think a negative cost when corporate value is based on how we click and how we like things. Again, instead of celebrating the totality of our experience, it gets divided into these seemingly insignificant moments. And these platforms, these websites, these apps can figure out more and more about what you like, give you more content, make you more addicted to your devices. That was Manipulation Nation. The web is the world's biggest social experiment. Thanks for listening and watching.